Hey, what's up? This is Ill Tal Music. Today we're going to be breaking down one of my personal favorites, a classic old school radio hip hop joint, LL Cool J, Around the Way Girl. This, of course, was produced by Marley Marl, and it has a lot of different parts. Some of it sampled, some of it played on the keyboard, so I think it should be really interesting to take you through this one. Before we get into it, I just want to say my new album, Ophelia, now available on vinyl. There's less than 50 copies, so if you're interested, make sure you act soon. It's pressed on 180 grams, so it's nice and thick, no wobbles. And also there's some tracks on here that are not on the digital release. So there's a lot going on in this beat. I'll start with the samples. First, you got the two different drum breaks that are layered on top of each other. Then you have the Mary Jane Girls vocal sample. And then you have the Kenny Burke, little keyboard intro from Rising to the Top. And now for everything else. So first you have the 808 kick drums, which at the time in hip hop was on pretty much every song. And now that I think about it, it's kind of on every song now in hip hop, which is funny to me, but whatever. So for the main chords of the beat, you have two patches layered on top of each other. One, you have like that classic Yamaha DX-ish electric piano type of patch. I don't think it's from a Yamaha DX. I actually think it's from a Roland MS-20. I have something that's similar to it, which should do the job. The pad underneath it, I really do think it's from the Roland MS-20. I have another patch on a Roland Phantom, which is called the MS-20, and it sounds really close to it. I think there's a little bit of chorus on it as well, but that should match pretty close. And then finally, you have that bass line, which is that really swing heavy, late 80s, early 90s hip hop patch. I have something again that's really close to it and it should fit. And with that, let's hit the crates. So the last video I did, I asked if you guys wanted to hear more about the records, and the answer was yes. So here we go with record time. First up, we got the LP by Kenny Burke. It has the very, very famous song on it, Rising to the Top. Most people actually have the 12-inch. The LP's harder to find. This one I got actually a pretty good deal on it. I bought it recently. I never had it, only because I was so familiar with the song, as I'm sure most of you are, that I really never needed it. But for this video, I want to get it since it's an integral part of the beat. Next up, we got the Mary Jane Girls classic, All Night Long, produced by Rick James. Again, super famous, been used multiple times. Has a little drum break in the intro. Plus, it's just a dope song. This is just one of my favorite songs out there, and it's really cool how they incorporated the vocal sample into this beat. And last but not least, we have Impeach the President by the Honey Drippers. Once again, I'm pretty sure everybody who's watching this video is super familiar with this drum break. This is an original. Took me a while to get this. I remember producers from the early 90s telling me that this single used to be really easy to find back in the day. Nowadays, I think it's going for like $200 and up. I got this one for I think like $125. It's in decent condition. I got it like a couple years ago, but I already took it out of the frame, just like I did synthetic substitution in the last video. But if this break comes up in another future video, I'm sorry, I'm using the Ultimate Break Beats version. I don't feel like taking this out of the frame anymore.
Shook out on your loving, and
So first I'm going to start with the shell of the beat. I have the MPC set at 101.4 BPM. And right now we have the Impeach the President drum break, which is pitched up. And the Mary Jane Girls drum break, which is also pitched up. And then we have the Kenny Burke noise. So this is the basic shell of the beat. So I just spent the past 2 hours trying to figure out how the hell Marley Marl did this bass line. And I learned a lot about Marley Marl, and I learned a lot about myself. So the first thing I did was get some sub bass, and I did this on this Planet Fat. So this is an old synthesizer from the early 90s, I believe. And then for that old school, like late 80s, early 90s hip hop bass line, I went with this patch off the Roland Phantom. It's called Solid Goa. I'm not sure what it really is, but once you hear it, you'll recognize that old school hip hop sound. So first off, let me apologize. I don't have any fancy video editing software where I can show what notes I'm playing on the keyboard. And also I play by ear, so half the time I don't even know what notes I'm playing. So there's two different bass lines on the beat. There's one during the verse and there's one during the hook. So for the one for the hook, Marley Marl is kind of replaying the bass line from the Kenny Burke, and it goes like this. So for the bass line during the verse, I was going crazy trying to figure something out until I really listened to the song again and again and again, and it kind of hit me what happened. So it goes like this. And that's on the second beat, not on the first, so it's kind of offset. So the other part I figured out is he actually filtered the bass line from the Kenny Burke song and put it underneath during the verse. So for the chords during the hook, I basically took a Rhodes sample from the Planet Fat. It has that really like cheesy kind of fake Rhodes sound. And then from the Roland Phantom, I took this MKS20 ensemble. Basically what it is, again, it's an electric piano chorus with the pad underneath it. So next is the 808. It's really simple. It just goes like this. So I'm going to walk through really quick what I did in Pro Tools, and trust me, it was a lot. For the 808s, all I did was EQ it a little bit just to cut the part where the bass line is a little bit and then boost up the really low end. For the Impeach the President drums, I cut the lows a little bit just like it is in the real beat. For the Mary Jane Girls drum break, I just boosted up the lows just so the kick will hit a little harder. So for the first bass line, which is the one during the verse, is really just the loop from the Kenny Burke song, Filtered. So basically I cut the highs all the way to like around 750 and boosted up the lows a little bit. For the sub bass patch, which came from the Planet Fat, I added compression and also cut a lot of the highs off and boosted up the lows. So for the fake electric piano patch, I actually did a lot to it. I cut the low end close to the mids. Then I added some reverb, compression, and then I added a little bit of like flanger chorus effect to kind of simulate what was done in the original beat. For the vocal samples, I pitched them up and then I time stretched it so it fit. Just EQ'd it to roll off most of the lows so it doesn't conflict with the rest of the beat. Added some reverb and I put a little chorus on here too because I think the original one has some. So far out of the few videos I did, this was definitely the most challenging one. I might try to explore remaking some other Marley Marl beats, so stay tuned for some of those. And with that being said, now it's time to hear the final result. It's pretty close. It's not as close as some of the other ones I did, but hey, I made do with what I got. Peace.